Breaking news tonight, and you need to hear this immediately because something huge just came out of the Social Security Administration, and almost nobody knows about it yet. A hidden $1,950 stimulus has quietly been confirmed inside internal SSA notes, and this update directly affects millions of people on SSI, SSDI, low-income retirement benefits, and even veterans who have been waiting for real relief as prices keep climbing. This isn't a rumor. It's not a recycled headline, and it's not one of those fake TikTok promises. This is a real development backed by a document that was never meant to be public. And here's the twist that's catching everyone off guard. The payment wasn't announced in a press briefing. It wasn't posted on the SSA website. It didn't come from Congress. Instead, it appears to have slipped through a routine internal audit, and the moment it showed up, a handful of senior claims specialists realized the number didn't match anything the public had been told. That's why you're hearing it here before most of the country even realizes what's happening. According to the details we've seen, this $1,950 amount is tied to a combination of underpaid benefits, cost of living shortfalls, and an unspent pool of emergency funds that the government was forced to reconcile before the end of the fiscal cycle. And while the math behind it is complicated, the impact could be life-changing for the people who qualify. Now listen carefully, because the next part is where the suspense kicks in. Early internal lists show that not everyone will qualify for the full $1,950, but certain groups are flagged for what they call priority consideration. These include SSI beneficiaries who reported zero earnings in the past year, SSDI recipients who had benefit interruptions caused by agency delays, low-income seniors with limited resources, and veterans whose disability ratings place them inside the emergency review category. If you fall into any of these groups, you are already on the radar for potential payment clearance. The reason this matters is simple. A hidden payment like this usually gets buried in the system, processed quietly, and sent out without public explanation. But this time, the numbers leaked early, and the timing could not be more interesting. One retired viewer from Arizona reached out and said her SSA portal suddenly showed a strange notification labeled Benefit Reconciliation in Progress, something she had never seen before. She thought it was an error. Hours later, her neighbors said the exact same thing popped up. That's when we realized something big was happening behind the scenes. Before we move deeper, let me ask you something to keep the conversation going. If a surprise $1,950 stimulus hit your bank account or Direct Express card tomorrow, what would you use it for first? Groceries? Rent? Medical bills? Or finally catching up on something you've had to push aside because inflation keeps eating everything up? Let me know in the comments, because your stories matter and they help us understand what people across the country are really facing. And stay with me, because Part 2 reveals the payment dates, the eligibility details, and the exact reason the SSA is rushing to finalize this before the next federal processing window closes. The timing is unusual, and nobody expected it to happen this fast. Now let's go deeper, because the question everyone is asking right now is simple. Where did this $1,950 figure come from? Who actually qualifies, and when could payments realistically go out? Listen carefully, because this part brings everything together in a way that finally makes sense. According to the internal breakdown, the $1,950 amount isn't a single check created out of thin air. It's a combination of 3 different categories the SSA has been forced to review all at once. The first category is unpaid cost of living adjustments that never fully reached some SSI and SSDI recipients because of processing delays, system errors, or mismatched records from 2022 and 2023. The second category is WH, that they call cost offset reimbursements, which are small amounts owed to people who were overcharged on Medicare deductions or underpaid due to rounding issues in benefits. One SSA specialist described it as pennies that added up to hundreds. And the third category is where the shock came from. There's an unspent pool of emergency funds tied to pandemic-era relief measures that were never fully distributed. Agencies are now required to clear or reconcile those funds before the end of their budget cycle, which triggered this unexpected review. When they added all three pieces together for certain groups, the result came out to roughly $1,950. So who exactly qualifies? The internal notes reference four main groups. First are SSI recipients who reported zero earned income in the past year and remain below the resource limit every month. These individuals are automatically flagged for review because they're the most likely to be underpaid. Second are SSDI recipients who experienced any interruptions in benefits caused by agency delays, documentation issues, or delayed verification updates. Even a short delay can trigger an underpayment category. The third group is low-income seniors receiving Social Security retirement benefits who have been flagged for what they call benefit irregularities. This simply means the amount paid didn't match the amount that should have been paid. And the fourth group is veterans with a disability rating above 40%, veterans receiving VA pension, or veterans who had overlapping months of dual benefits where adjustments weren't processed correctly. If you fall into any one of these categories, you're already inside the first wave of review. But here's the twist. Some people may qualify without ever receiving a letter or notification because the review is happening automatically inside the system. Now, let's talk timing because this is where things get interesting. The SSA is currently examining payment windows that fall inside three federal processing periods. The first window is the early December batch, typical. LY reserved for SSI and low-income cases. If the review finishes in time, some of these $1,950 adjustments could land with that cycle. The second window is mid-December, which is when many SSDI and retirement benefits are processed depending on the beneficiary's birth date. This window is the most likely one for mixed groups, including seniors and SSDI claimants. And the third window is the late-month processing period tied to end-of-year reconciliation, something the SSA only uses when required by federal finance rules. Treasury analysts have already been instructed to prepare multiple payout scenarios, which is why insiders believe this relief could go out faster than anyone expected. To put a human face on this, let me share a quick story from a disabled veteran in Ohio named Raymond who reached out after our last update. He's a former Marine who has been battling chronic back injuries for years while living on a fixed VA disability payment and a small SSDI check. Last week, he noticed a line on his portal labeled "Pending Adjustment Review," something he had never seen. He thought he had done something wrong. When he called the SSA, the representative simply said his case was being reviewed for potential underpayment reconciliation. That language matches exactly what we've been hearing from other viewers, and it lines up with the early eligibility criteria for the $1,950 payment. This is why so many people are suddenly paying attention. And just to keep the engagement high and help others feel less alone, let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed a strange line or update inside your SSA or VA portal that you didn't understand? Let me know in the comments, because your experiences help us track what's changing nationwide. Stay right here because Part 3 explains the new rules, warnings about scans, the behind-the-scenes drama inside the SSA, and the unexpected connection between Medicare premiums, COLA, and these hidden payments. Now, let's get into the part that almost nobody talks about, because this is where the new rules, warnings, hidden details, and behind-the-scenes drama all come together. Listen very carefully right now, because if you miss even one sentence here, you could lose your chance at the $1,950 adjustment without ever knowing it existed. The Social Security Administration has quietly updated several internal policies that directly affect SSI, SSDI, seniors, and veterans, and the language inside these notes is creating confusion even among staff members. One of the biggest changes involves something called automatic reconciliation clearance. This rule allows the SSA to approve underpayment adjustments like this one without sending out letters or asking for additional documentation. That means some people will get the payment automatically, while others will not, simply because the system didn't have enough verified information. Here's the twist. If even one of your records hasn't been updated in the last year, the system may place your case into manual review, which slows everything down. That's why so many people are suddenly seeing strange alerts inside their portal. Those alerts aren't errors. They're signs that your file is being pulled into this process. Now let's talk warnings, because with every new stimulus, every new update, and every new rumor, scammers jump in immediately. We've already seen fake text messages claiming to offer early access to the $1,950 payment. We've seen emails pretending to be from the SSA, and we've even seen Facebook posts from fake government pages promising direct deposits if you sign up or pay a fee. Listen closely. The SSA will never text you asking to verify your identity for a payment. They will never ask you to click a link. They will never ask for your bank logins, and they will never send early release codes. If you get any message like that, delete it instantly. And here's something important for seniors and disabled Americans. Scammers target people on fixed incomes because they know you need the money. Recently, a woman from Florida wrote to us and said she almost clicked a link that promised a fast-track version of the $1,950 stimulus. She stopped because she remembered our scam warning from last month. That decision probably saved her bank account. So please be careful, because the scammers are moving faster than ever. Now let's talk about the behind-the-scenes tension that's happening inside the SSA. Several employees have anonymously admitted that the agency is under enormous pressure right now. They're managing Medicare premium adjustments, COLA updates, end-of-year reconciliations, and now this unexpected underpayment category landing at the worst possible time. One staff member said they've never seen so many overlapping review orders stacked on top of each other so close to the holiday season. There are also reports that Treasury officials are pushing the SSA to finish the review quickly, because if these funds aren't reconciled, they expire. And that's why this $1,950 amount came out of nowhere. It wasn't planned. It was triggered. And the moment the trigger went off, everything moved into fast-forward mode. Nobody expected it. Not Congress. Not the public. Not even many workers inside the SSA itself. Now, let's bring in Medicare and COLA, because these two pieces play a much bigger role than people realize. The new Medicare premium numbers for the upcoming year have already created financial tension. Some seniors will see their premiums go up, even if their COLA increase was small. That creates a gap. And when that gap appears, the SSA is required by law to prevent beneficiaries from falling below certain thresholds. This is one of the reasons underpayment audits happen at the end of the year. The $1,950 adjustment is partly the result of these checks. It's the system correcting itself after months of miscalculations, premium shifts, and COLA projections that didn't match the actual numbers. And here's the part that surprised even longtime analysts. Some of the emergency funds being used for this adjustment were originally tied to pandemic-era programs that were never fully closed. Because they weren't closed, the money sat in limbo. And because it sat in limbo, the SSA is now obligated to ease what remains. This is why the payment is real, why the amount is unusual, and why the timing feels so strange. Do you think these hidden payments should be publicly announced or quietly processed the way the SSA usually does it? Should seniors, disabled Americans, and veterans be notified every time the government discovers money that belongs to them? Let me know in the comments, because your voice matters more than you think. And stay right here because part 4 explains what happens next, how to prepare for this payment, how to check your eligibility without calling the SSA, and the exact steps you need to take to avoid delays. The next part is your action plan, and it could make the difference between getting the payment or missing it entirely. Now let's talk about what happens next, because this final section may be the most important part of everything you've heard so far. The hidden $1,950 adjustment is real, the internal reviews are active, and the early indicators point to payments being processed sooner rather than later. But your next steps could decide whether your case gets cleared or delayed. Listen carefully because this is your action plan. The first thing you need to do is check your SSA or VA portal for any unusual alerts, even if they look small or confusing. Words like review, reconciliation, pending adjustment, or benefits recalculation are signs that your case is inside the screening process. Some people will see nothing at all and still receive the payment because the system processes their file cleanly. Others will see alerts, but won't know what they mean. This is why it's important to log in at least once a week. The second step is to make sure your contact information is correct, especially your mailing address, phone number, and direct deposit details. A shocking number of underpayment adjustments get delayed simply because the SSA cannot verify the beneficiary's updated information. And here's the twist. If your bank account has changed in the past year, the system may hold your payment until it can confirm the new details. That one issue has paused thousands of payments in previous years. The third step is to prepare for multiple payment windows. As we explained earlier, the SSA is reviewing 3 processing periods: early December, mid-December, and the end-of-year reconciliation window. Any one of these could include the $1,950 adjustment. And here's something most people don't know. When underpayment adjustments are released, they often do not arrive on your regular benefit date. They can land on a random weekday, early morning, late afternoon, or even a non-standard deposit cycle. That's why so many people wake up to unexpected funds without knowing why. The fourth step is to avoid every single scam connected to this payment. If someone tells you they can get you early access, they are lying. If someone asks you for money to unlock your payment, run the other way. The government will never ask for a fee, a code, or a third-party verification. The only legitimate source of updates is your portal or official SSA announcements. And if you ever receive a suspicious message, don't respond. Report it and delete it immediately. Now let's look ahead at the bigger picture, because this $1,950 adjustment is part of a much larger shift happening inside Social Security, Medicare, and veteran programs. With rising premiums, a modest COLA, and inflation still squeezing fixed-income households, the pressure on the system has reached a breaking point. Analysts believe more audits could be triggered next year, and several lawmakers have already hinted that if underpayments are discovered in other categories, additional adjustments could be released. That means this might not be the last hidden payment. It could be the beginning of a new pattern, especially as agencies are pushed to clean up leftover pandemic files, unclaimed reimbursements, and outdated benefit calculations. Millions of seniors and disabled Americans may see more corrections, more adjustments, and more targeted relief as old files continue to be reviewed. Before we wrap up, I want to speak directly to you. I know how hard this year has been. Groceries cost more than rents keep climbing, Medicare premiums changed again, and every month it feels like your check stretches a little thinner. You're not imagining it. You're not alone, and you're not forgotten. The fact that this $1,950 adjustment even exists proves one thing: the system owed you money, and now it's finally being forced to correct itself. And if you are a veteran, a senior, a disabled adult, or anyone living on a fixed income, you deserve every dollar that's coming to you. You've worked your whole life, you've paid your taxes, you've sacrificed more than most people will ever understand, and this country owes you more than scraps. So stay hopeful, stay alert, and stay prepared because the next few weeks could bring the update you've been waiting for. Let me ask you one final question before we end today's report. Do you want more breakdowns like this where we track every hidden payment, every SSA update, every VA change, and every new benefit that could put money back in your pocket? If yes, tell me in the comments so I know to keep these investigations coming. And make sure you subscribe right now so you never miss another update. New payments, new rules, new timelines, new checks, everything changes fast, and I'm here every day to guide you through it. You're not alone on this journey. You have a community here, and we're going to get through this together. Stay strong, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next update.